Hey, before you scroll past this video, I want to ask you something personal. When you wake up in the morning, do your legs feel stiff before you even take your first step? Do your knees ache when you climb the stairs? Do your calves cramp up in the middle of the night, waking you from a dead sleep? Do you feel like your legs just aren't as strong as they used to be, and you're starting to wonder if this is just what getting old feels like? I hear this every single week from patients who walk into my office, and I want to tell you something important right now. This is not just aging. This is not inevitable, and it is absolutely not something you have to accept. My name is Dr. Alan Mandell, and I've been practicing medicine for over 30 years. I've watched thousands of patients over the age of 60 struggle with leg pain, weakness, swelling, and stiffness. And I've also watched many of those same patients transform, not through surgery, not through expensive medications, but through something as simple as what they put on their dinner plate. Today, I'm going to show you what happens to your legs when you eat salmon just twice a week. Some of what I'm about to share is going to genuinely surprise you. Stay with me, because this could be one of the most important things you watch this year. First, let's talk about what's actually happening in your body after 60, because understanding the why is the key to fixing the problem. Number 1, you are losing muscle every single year. There is a condition called sarcopenia. It simply means the gradual loss of muscle mass that comes with age. Starting around your 50s and accelerating after 60, your body loses approximately 1 to 2% of muscle mass every year. Now, that might not sound like much, but over a decade, that adds up to a significant loss, especially in the major muscle groups of your legs. Your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your calves, these are the muscles that carry you through life. When they weaken, everything becomes harder. Standing up from a chair, walking to the mailbox, keeping your balance. Number 2, your joints are under constant attack. The cartilage inside your knee and hip joints, the cushioning that allows smooth, pain-free movement, thins over time. The synovial fluid that lubricates your joints decreases, and when that happens, bone starts rubbing against bone. That's where the aching, grinding, and stiffness come from. Number 3, your circulation is slowing down. Blood flow to the legs and feet becomes less efficient with age. This is why so many of my patients over 60 experience cold feet, numbness, tingling, and those terrible nighttime cramps. Poor circulation also means your muscles aren't getting the oxygen and nutrients they need to stay strong and recover from activity. And number 4, and this is the one most people never hear about, silent inflammation. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is happening in your body right now, and you may not even feel it directly, but it is quietly destroying your joints, weakening your muscles, and damaging the walls of your blood vessels. Scientists now call this inflammaging, and it is one of the primary drivers of everything that goes wrong in your body after 60. Now, here's what I need you to understand. None of these are simply because you're old. These are biological processes that are heavily influenced by what you eat. And when it comes to fighting all 4 of these problems simultaneously, there is one food that stands above nearly everything else: salmon. Now, I'm not talking about just any piece of fish. I'm talking specifically about wild-caught salmon, particularly wild Atlantic salmon and sockeye salmon. These are among the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. And when it comes to what your legs need after 60, salmon hits almost every target. Let me walk you through the 5 key nutrients that make salmon extraordinary. First, omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. These are long-chain polyunsaturated fats that your body cannot make on its own. You have to get them from food. Salmon is one of the single richest sources of EPA and DHA on the planet. A single 6-ounce serving of wild salmon contains approximately 2 to 3 grams of omega-3s. That is a therapeutic dose. These fats do something remarkable inside your body. They directly dial down inflammation at the cellular level. I'll explain exactly how that helps your legs in a moment. Second, high-quality, complete protein. That same 6-ounce serving of salmon gives you roughly 34 grams of protein. Complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids. Protein is the raw material your body uses to build and repair muscle tissue. After 60, your body actually becomes less efficient at using dietary protein for muscle building, which means you need more of it, not less. Salmon delivers a highly bioavailable protein that your aging muscles can actually use. Third, vitamin D3. Salmon is one of the very few natural food sources of vitamin D3, the form your body uses best. Vitamin D is critical for calcium absorption, bone density, muscle function, and immune regulation. And here's the alarming reality. Studies consistently show that the majority of Americans over 60 are deficient in vitamin D. If your bones feel fragile, if your muscles feel weak, vitamin D deficiency is very likely part of the story. Fourth, astaxanthin. This is the one most people have never heard of, and it may be one of the most powerful natural antioxidants ever discovered. Astaxanthin is what gives salmon its distinctive pink-orange color. It is 6,000 times more potent as an antioxidant than vitamin C. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It penetrates muscle tissue. It protects the mitochondria, the energy factories inside your cells, from oxidative damage. There is nothing quite like it in the food supply. Fifth, selenium and vitamin B12. Selenium supports thyroid function and protects against cellular damage. B12 is essential for nerve health, and nerve health, as you may know, is directly connected to the sensation and function in your legs and feet. B12 deficiency is extremely common in people over 60 and is frequently the hidden cause of numbness, tingling, and weakness in the lower extremities. Now that you know what's in salmon, let's talk about what it actually does to your legs. This is the part of the video I know you've been waiting for. Let me take you through the 6 changes that happen in your legs when you eat salmon consistently, twice a week. The omega-3 fatty acids EPA and DHA in salmon are nature's most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. Here's how they work. In your body, inflammation is partly driven by chemicals called prostaglandins and cytokines, small signaling molecules that essentially turn on the inflammation switch. Omega-3s compete directly with the precursors of these molecules and replace them with far less inflammatory versions. Research published in the Annals of the Rheumatic Diseases found that patients with rheumatoid arthritis who supplemented with omega-3s experienced significantly less joint pain and morning stiffness compared to those who did not. And multiple studies have confirmed similar benefits for osteoarthritis, the wear and tear kind of arthritis that affects the knees and hips of millions of people over 60. In my clinical experience, many patients who begin eating salmon regularly start noticing a real difference in their joint pain within 6 to 8 weeks. Not a dramatic overnight cure, but a gradual, meaningful reduction in the background ache that they had come to accept as normal. Remember sarcopenia, that progressive muscle loss I described? Here's the good news. It is not inevitable and it is not irreversible. When you eat salmon, you are delivering two things simultaneously that your muscles desperately need: omega-3s and high-quality protein. The omega-3s in salmon have been shown to directly stimulate muscle protein synthesis. They essentially flip the switch that tells your muscles to rebuild rather than break down. A landmark study from the University of Aberdeen found that omega-3 supplementation increased the rate of muscle protein synthesis in older adults by nearly 35%. Combined with the 34 grams of complete protein per serving, salmon gives your muscles both the signal and the materials they need to grow stronger. Now, I want to be clear. Food alone won't build muscle. You need to move those muscles too. But even gentle activity, walking, chair exercises, light resistance bands, paired with regular salmon intake, can produce meaningful improvements in leg strength over a period of weeks to months. I have seen patients in their 70s and 80s regain functional strength they thought was gone forever. Poor circulation is one of the most common and least discussed problems in people over 60. It shows up as cold feet, numb toes, leg cramps, and that heavy, swollen feeling in the calves at the end of the day. The omega-3s in salmon improve circulation through multiple mechanisms. They reduce the stickiness of platelets, making blood less likely to clot and more likely to flow freely. They improve the flexibility of red blood cell membranes, allowing them to squeeze through small capillaries more easily. And they have been shown to lower triglycerides, excess fat in the blood that thickens it and reduces flow. Salmon also contains an amino acid called arginine, which your body uses to produce nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes and dilates blood vessels. Better blood vessel flexibility means better flow to your legs, your feet, your muscles, and your joints. For people concerned about deep vein thrombosis, blood clots in the legs, the blood-thinning properties of omega-3s make salmon an important dietary ally. Of course, if you are already on blood-thinning medication, please talk to your doctor. I'll come back to that. Falls are one of the leading causes of serious injury and loss of independence in people over 60. And the risk of a fall leading to a fracture is dramatically increased when bone density is low, a condition called osteoporosis, which affects over 44 million Americans, the majority of them over 60. Salmon addresses bone health from two directions simultaneously. The vitamin D3 in salmon dramatically improves calcium absorption in your intestines. Without sufficient vitamin D, your body absorbs only about 10 to 15% of the calcium you eat. With adequate vitamin D, that absorption can jump to 30 to 40%. This is fundamental. You can take all the calcium supplements in the world, but without vitamin D, much of it passes right through you. The high-quality protein in salmon is equally important. Bone is not just calcium and minerals, it's a living tissue that contains a collagen protein matrix. Dietary protein is essential for maintaining that matrix and keeping your bones strong and flexible, not brittle. Research from the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research has shown that higher omega-3 intake is associated with greater bone density in older adults and a reduced risk of hip fracture. Protecting your hips means protecting your independence, and that is something I take very seriously for all my patients. Have you noticed that activities that used to be easy, a walk around the block, climbing a flight of stairs, standing at the kitchen counter, now leave you feeling unusually fatigued? This is partly because of what's happening inside your muscle cells. Mitochondria are the tiny power plants inside your cells that produce energy. After 60, mitochondrial function naturally declines, and this is a major contributor to that feeling of fatigue and reduced endurance that so many older adults experience. This is where astaxanthin becomes truly remarkable. Research has shown that astaxanthin protects mitochondria from oxidative damage, essentially shielding your cell's power generators from the wear and tear that comes with age. Studies have also demonstrated that astaxanthin improves exercise endurance and reduces exercise-induced muscle damage and inflammation. What this means practically, when you eat salmon regularly, your leg muscles have more energy to work with. They recover faster from activity, and you experience less of that heavy, burning fatigue when you walk or climb stairs. Many of my patients describe it as feeling like their legs have woken up again. If you've ever been jolted awake at 2 in the morning by a sudden agonizing cramp in your calf, you know exactly how disruptive and frightening it can be. Nocturnal leg cramps are extremely common in people over 60, and they are frequently connected to nutritional deficiencies and circulatory problems. Salmon helps address this from multiple angles. The omega-3s improve circulation to the leg muscles. Muscles that are cramp-prone are often muscles that aren't getting enough blood flow during the night. The protein in salmon helps maintain the structural integrity of muscle fibers, making them less prone to sudden, involuntary contractions. Salmon is also a meaningful source of magnesium and potassium, two electrolytes that play a critical role in muscle contraction and relaxation. When these minerals are in short supply, muscles become excitable and cramp-prone. Regular consumption of salmon, as part of a balanced diet, helps keep these electrolyte levels where they need to be. Many patients who begin eating more salmon, along with staying well hydrated and doing gentle calf stretches before bed, report a significant reduction in the frequency and severity of nighttime cramps within just a few weeks. Now, I know some of you watching might be thinking, this sounds too good to be true. So let me ground this in the science. The relationship between omega-3 fatty acids and inflammation has been studied extensively for decades. Research from Harvard Medical School has consistently shown that higher omega-3 intake is associated with lower levels of inflammatory markers in the blood, including C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, both of which are strongly linked to joint damage and muscle loss in older adults. The National Institutes of Health conducted a comprehensive review of omega-3 research and concluded that EPA and DHA have measurable, clinically significant anti-inflammatory effects, particularly relevant for conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, and cardiovascular disease. A major study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed adults over 60 who consumed fatty fish at least twice per week and compared them to those who rarely ate fish. The fish eaters showed significantly lower inflammatory markers, better preservation of muscle mass, and higher scores on tests of physical function, including walking speed and the ability to rise from a chair without using their hands. And in my own practice, over more than 30 years, I have seen these numbers come to life in real patients. People who came to me with chronic knee pain, who struggled to walk upstairs, who were dreading the idea of a knee replacement, and who made meaningful improvements simply by changing what they ate. Salmon was consistently part of that change. All right, so you're convinced. How do you actually do this? How much should you eat? Twice a week is the target. Each serving should be approximately 5 to 6 ounces. That's about the size of the palm of your hand. More is fine, but twice weekly is where research consistently shows meaningful clinical benefit. What kind of salmon should you buy? The gold standard is wild-caught salmon. Wild-caught sockeye salmon and wild Atlantic salmon have the highest omega-3 content and the lowest levels of contaminants. Look for the words wild-caught on the label, not farm-raised or just Atlantic. Here's a practical tip I give my patients all the time. Frozen wild-caught salmon is an excellent choice. Fish is typically frozen within hours of being caught, which locks in its nutritional value, and it is significantly more affordable than fresh wild salmon. Don't let budget be a barrier here. Canned wild-caught salmon is also a surprisingly good option. Look for brands that use wild Alaskan salmon. It's convenient, affordable, and retains most of its omega-3 content. What's the best way to cook it? Baking, broiling, steaming, or pan-searing in a small amount of olive oil are all excellent methods. The key is not to overcook it. Salmon is done when it flakes easily, but still looks slightly translucent in the very center. Overcooking destroys some of the delicate omega-3 fatty acids and makes the texture dry and unpleasant. What should you avoid? Deep frying. It adds unhealthy fats and destroys nutrients. Heavy cream sauces. They add calories and saturated fat that offset the benefits. And be careful with canned salmon packed in brine. Excess sodium is not your friend, especially if you're managing blood pressure. What should you pair salmon with? This is where you can amplify the benefits significantly. Eat your salmon with leafy greens like spinach, kale, or arugula, rich in magnesium and antioxidants, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Its oleocanthal compound has anti-inflammatory properties similar to ibuprofen. Roasted garlic, which has its own powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. Sweet potatoes or legumes for potassium and complex carbohydrates that fuel your muscles. When you combine salmon with these foods, you are not just getting a healthy meal, you are building a synergistic anti-inflammatory plate that works powerfully for your whole body. Now, as I always say on this channel, I want to be completely honest with you, and that means talking about who needs to be careful. If you are taking blood-thinning medications, warfarin, Coumadin, Eliquis, Xarelto, or aspirin therapy, please talk to your doctor before significantly increasing your omega-3 intake. Omega-3s have mild blood-thinning properties, and combining them with anticoagulant medications requires monitoring. This doesn't necessarily mean you can't eat salmon. It means you should have the conversation with your physician. If you have a diagnosed seafood or fish allergy, this obviously is not the right path for you. There are other omega-3 sources I can discuss in future videos, things like flaxseed, chia seeds, and walnuts, though none are quite as potent as marine sources. If you have advanced kidney disease, specifically stage 4 or 5 chronic kidney disease, your doctor may have placed restrictions on your protein intake. In that case, salmon should only be eaten within the guidelines your nephrologist has set for you. For everyone else, the overwhelming majority of healthy adults over 60, salmon is remarkably safe, well tolerated, and deeply beneficial. It is a whole food, not a supplement. Your body knows what to do with it. I want to be absolutely clear. I am not your personal physician, and this video does not replace the medical advice of your own doctor. What I am sharing with you is evidence-based nutritional information, and I encourage you to bring it to your next appointment and have a conversation about it. All right, let's bring this home. We covered a lot today, so let me give you a quick recap of what happens to your legs when you eat salmon twice a week. Your joint pain decreases as omega-3s reduce inflammation at its source. Your muscles begin to rebuild and grow stronger. Your circulation improves, bringing more oxygen and nutrients to your legs and feet. Your bones become denser and more resistant to fracture. Your energy and endurance when walking improve noticeably, and those miserable nighttime leg cramps become less frequent and less severe. 6 changes. 2 servings of salmon per week. That is the prescription. Friends, I have spent my career believing something very simple. Your body has an extraordinary ability to heal if you give it what it needs. After 60, your legs don't have to hurt. You don't have to hold on to the railing every time you climb the stairs. You don't have to give up the walks, the golf, the dancing, the time on your feet with your grandchildren. The road back to strong, comfortable, capable legs starts on your dinner plate. Make this the week you try it. Pick up some wild-caught salmon this weekend, cook it with olive oil and garlic, eat it with your family, and pay attention to how your body responds over the coming weeks. I would love to hear about it. Leave a comment below and tell me, have you eaten salmon regularly before? Have you noticed a difference in how you feel? Your story might be exactly what someone else watching this video needs to hear today. If this video was helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up. It helps more people over 60 find this information. And if you are not yet subscribed to Healthy Aging America, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a video. Because next week, I'm going to reveal something that might shock you, a common food that millions of Americans eat every single day that is silently destroying the cartilage in their knees. You're not going to want to miss that one. Until then, take care of those legs, take care of your body, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, reminding you that it is never too late to feel better.